Welcome back to That Rugby podcast hosted by the Rugby Booth. It's your boy, Luke and Husey, back again for another week. Look, what a week of Super Rugby that was, eh? Disaster for my Hurricanes. But other than that, a hella interesting week. Husey, I'll let you take the first line because I'm still a little bit sour and a bit dour from the week that was.
Look, I think we have got to ask the question, is there enough talent in New Zealand rugby to be supporting 5 team? Because, look, the results of the weekend, right? We got 1, 2, 3 New Zealand teams losing, one on a bye and another win being the win being the Crusaders. Now, look, it must have been awful for you last night rooting for the Crusaders to win. That must have been a terrible feeling.
Yeah, look, it was a weird feeling. It's a rare feeling
Mm.
um, in my head and my heart and my body to know that you need a Crusaders win to kind of save face for New Zealand rugby. It's not uncommon that that has to happen
Yeah.
because, 14 times champs, but it
Yeah.
is rare where I'm supporting it. And I sat there and I was like, you get to the end of the week and you go, how is this happen? How am I going Crusaders or bust here this week? Like there is
Yeah.
nothing I need more than a Crusaders win over a strong Reds team. And again, it was no guarantee. I think that was the big thing I was a bit nervous about
Yeah.
was there was no guarantee there was going to be a win, and we could be looking at an 0-4, which I know I saw a stat that the last time 4 New Zealand teams lost was 2013, and like the
Yeah.
last time all 5 of them lost was back in 2000. Obviously, couldn't be possible because the Highlanders weren't playing, but yeah, it was could have been a very rare already.
Yeah, it was a fantastic week. But look, what we really have to highlight here is that 2 of the 3 New Zealand losses were to the Fijian Drua and Moana Pacifica. Incredible wins from both those sides. So I'm going to back off the glory a little bit here because there was only one Australian team win against the New Zealand team there. However, that win was historic. A historic win by the Brumbies over the Blues in Auckland, in Eden Park, the graveyard of Wallabies' hopes and dreams. So it is doubly as sweet to not only beat a Kiwi team, but to beat them in one of your historic fortresses of rugby is even better. Um, Look, that game was pretty incredible to watch. The Brumbies have had a rough start to the season. Um, the results in the last 2 weeks not quite going their way against the Force and the Chiefs. Starting off strong though against the Drua in a tough contest there. Um, and look, everyone coming into this game was like, well, you know, Blues, it's in Park. Blues seemed to get back on song last week against the Hurricanes. This should be a good win for the Blues. Not so, and without some key pieces in there for the Brumbies as well, notably Noah Lolesio.
Yeah, look, it was a pretty average game for 2 good sides, I would say, and the reason I say average game is just the mistakes that were made. And as you said, I think we hold the Brumbies and the Blues up to a higher standard. Purely Blues last year's champions, Brumbies the best Australian team in the comp as far as the previous years is look. And I thought it was a pretty average game. Brumbies led for 44 seconds. I thought the Blues were pretty average, especially when Ricky Riccitelli went off. There was a clear issue with the line out that was going on, and they couldn't get that fixed. Bowden Barrett getting injured. Again, I think they look better when he's at 10. So I was like, look, it's 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 a big win for the Brumbies because of what it means and where, especially the last few years, how their seasons have ended with a Blues loss. And for them to be able to knock off that hoodoo and be able to know that they can do it and not even play that well, this is where the credit has to be given to the Brumbies. They didn't play that well, nor
Yep.
did the Blues, but they got the win. And as we always say, like good sides find ways to win, which the
Yep.
Blues and Hurricanes are struggling to do at the moment as they look at bottom of the table, which
And
is fantastic.
yeah, well, a terrible blow for the Blues with Bowden Barrett's injury. I think I read it was a hand fracture.
Yep.
So I think that
Yep.
they said six to
Yeah.
yeah, I think they said 6 to 8 was the like the recovery time. With for an already, as you said, struggling Blues team, that is a major blow. Um, let's move to the next game: the Fijian Drua against the Chief in Churchill Park in Lautoka in Fiji. Now, very, very hectic conditions there, a lot of moisture on the turf. Um, but somehow Fiji still managed to play with the same flair that just almost no one else can match. And yeah, downing the Chiefs, 28-24, ending any talk of a Chiefs undefeated season right there and then, way earlier than we thought maybe was possible. We're talking about this Chiefs team going on a historic run, but the Fijian Drua wild cards that they have now become the destroyer of dreams in a way, take down the Chiefs. Uh, well, did you get to watch this game? What were your thoughts on it?
I did. I didn't watch it live again. Watch it on the replay. But
Mm,
again, we talked highly of the Chiefs because of how good the Chiefs were looking, and they deserve to be talked in that bracket. But you can go to Fiji, and I think we're going to look back at that Brumbies win in Fiji as a pretty important win to hang their cap on because it doesn't happen often, and to be able to do it is is obviously special. And we probably overlooked that. I think we were talking about the Chiefs, and again, I know they were missing some players as well. I don't know. Did David McKenzie end up playing in this game? Did he also have an
I feel like
injury?
he did. I feel like I saw him in part of the replay, but I could be wrong.
I think he did, but I think he also had an injury. No, he was ruled out at the start. I knew I'd had
Yeah,
to. So, yeah, uh, again, a team without their star player and
yeah,
David McKenzie, but still you've got to, as Jura say, you got to win those games. And as messy as it was, Drua come out on top, and we've been saying this about them. They've only been losing by 4, 5 points. I think what was it
yeah,
2 losses by 4 and a loss by 5, and tough games, 2 away games as well to my Hurricanes and your Waratahs. So we look at it and go, the Drua now top knock over the team who we thought were king of the hill, and rightfully hold that
yeah,
crown now. In my opinion, like it's not going to be easy to go to Drua and win. And I imagine most teams will be fearing that spot on the calendar. Can other teams go and
yeah.
do it? I think they can, but it's one of those ones where I had the Chiefs so far ahead of everyone, I didn't even think that this would
Mm.
them over, and it has.
Well, look,
Well,
and speaking of, finding ways to win as well, let's cast our mind back to that Brumbies win in Fiji. As you said, look, they won that without a lot of key players in there, again, without their starting fly half, Noah Lolesio, who hasn't put on a Brumbies jersey yet this season. So the fact that they were able to do that, I think from Brumbies' perspective, has to be very, very encouraging. Look, I think they'll be disappointed in their games against the Chiefs and the Force in their defense there, particularly at the end of the Chiefs game where they let in that easy try that blew out that scoreline, that also potentially prevented them from getting a bonus point. That could be critical come late season. Um, so, look, as much as the Chiefs are missing DMAC, uh, you've got to find ways to win those games, as you said.
totally. The next game we can just skip over. Moana Pacifica beat the Hurricanes 40-31.
Well, let's. I think we
As
can.
expected.
We,
We can just move on. Arisa
let's
is
not.
home.
Well.
Like, doesn't matter. I'm not.
Oh, I do have to give credit to your Hurricanes boys though for this game because this game was, I think, at one point 40-16 or something like that. Like it was the score line looked far better than what most of this game was. But that's a credit to the Hurricanes that they were able to fight back even when
Don't do
there was.
this. Don't do this. What credit is this? This credit. They decided to play rugby in the last 10 minutes. I'm not giving them credit for that. Them useless pricks. Like you decide that this is the way you're going to play in the last. Honestly, I watched the game. I woke up at what 6 a.m. New Zealand, London time to watch this game, and I've never been more frustrated in my life at a game. There was a 10-minute spell, and if I get a chance, I'm going to make a video on the worst 10 minutes of rugby in the history of rugby. Like terrible 10 minutes. They had a yellow card, Moana Pacifica, so we got a penalty. We went to the line out, managed to f the line out up, then gave away a penalty, then gave away another penalty, then gave away a yellow card, and then they scored. So in the 10 minutes their bloke was off, what we managed to do was A, let them score, and B, get a yellow card of our own while giving away free penalties. I sat there and I was like, I'm fucking watching the Wallabies play. It's a team in yellow that don't have any that have all the ill discipline and don't know how to make a tackle. That's all I sat there and watched. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, what am I seeing?
Like, I was trying to apply a salve to the wound there by trying to find something positive to talk about for you. But I look, I guess you're one of those guys that sticks a fiery poker into the wound. But we should credit Moana Pacifica for the win here. Their first win of the season, an impressive win as well. And look, I reckon some of this was Artie Savia giving a few tricks to trade away to his teammates, saying, I know what the Canes are going to do in these situations. He knows how to get under their skin as well. Um, it's a big game for Artie. You could see him when he was subbed off on the sideline, like standing the whole time. Really um, emotional about this game and you know, bring increasing the quality of the squad. So a fantastic win, and we no longer have any winless teams, which is great for this competition. It's also great that the Hurricanes are bottom of the ladder.
Not great. It's not great at all. And yeah, on Artie Sabi again,
Yeah.
he was the love of my life for so long. And now I don't
Mm,
even know where to put him. I don't know where to put him. I don't know how to fix this whole Artie Sabi a whole size thing I've got in my heart. And for him to say he's home, like, yeah, cool, awesome. It's a great story. Yeah, I should be happy. I'm not. Obviously, I'm not. I'm a Hurricane fan. Like, why would I be happy for him? Uh,
mm,
he. This is what makes it even more impressive. The fact that he only played like 40 minutes makes it an
yeah.
even more impressive win for Moana Pacifica. Pat Pellegrini has to be given some chops. That was an amazing performance at 10. And again, when you look who he's going up against, and Godfrey, who's been the form 10 for New Zealand teams, it's another step
Mm,
in the book. And I just sat there and I went, look, they've got a lot of talent, and they. You look at Miracle playing, their front row again. We're missing players. I totally understand it. No Lomax, no more. That's two of our best front rowers. But we decide to bring Super Secretly Fee, who's been our best player, off the bench. We decide to bring Cam Rigard off the bench. When we're 1 and 2, needing a win, I sit here and I go, what were we thinking, and why were we thinking it?
yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are left to be desired in this game. I'm not going to go too deep into it because I've already gone deep enough. We come away with absolutely fucking nothing from a game that, look, in my honest opinion, we're the better team than Moana Pacifica, but we were nowhere close to playing it on the day. And so Moana Pacifica deserved to win. And I think they deserved to win by 20 to 30 points. So again, as you said, we were lucky. We decided to move the ball in the last 10 minutes, and all of a sudden we could play rugby. And it's like, yes, we could have done that the whole time. So that's all. Move on to your TARS.
Yeah, look, we've been saying let's move on to the Waratahs. 3-0.
Only undefeated team. Let's go. Undefeated. Can I just ask? I'm just going to get this out
Yeah.
before you get too celebratory. Who did you pay off to get 3 home games straight off the bat? And against the Highlanders, the Drua, and the Force, who did you pay off? Like, it's all I want to know. Like, how much?
As the Waratahs go, so Super Rugby goes. New South Wales is the money bag of Super Rugby. So I'm sure everyone saw Joseph Suaalii, uh, new Taniela Tupou, big season for the Waratahs. Let's get some home games. Let's get some crowds going. Look, let's speak about it. What we've needed to see from the Tars, as we've said, the first two performances were incomplete. This was still an incomplete performance, but it was a better performance. Some experimentation going on with Dan McKellar, bringing Kane Edmed off the bench instead of starting. I think we saw that he was a better 10 than Lawson Crichton was. Particularly with his kicking game, not only conversions, but kicks during play. Um, One thing I really like, and this is going to cause a selection headache down the track, is I really like Andrew Kellaway at fullback. I think he's a better fullback than he is wing. I think Darby Lancaster's a fantastic wing. I think when Joseph Suaalii comes back, he should be a center. I think he's a better center than he is fullback. I think, look, you've got some good center depth. I think Henry O'Donnell's a great outside center, but Suaalii in there at inside center. He played in the centers for the Wallabies, had a great game there.
That's a
So I
kitty.
think that I think you've got options. You've got so much depth there now. You've got options. Someone's inevitably going to get injured. Like I don't think Fichetti played this game because he was injured as well. So people are going to get minutes. I think that's a great strength of the Wallabies, but I think Suli's primary position for this Waratahs team should be center because I think Kellaway is a fantastic fullback. I think he did a really good job. There are some times when inevitably when a fullback's one on one, there are good times where they're going to get beaten. I think that is still a part of Kellaway's game he needs to improve. I don't think Suoli is any better at it though. Um, but I like what Kellaway brings to the attack from the fullback position. Um, Max Jorgensen, what a game!
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
wing
Yeah.
just he just for he seems to be getting stronger every game. He's definitely lifting weights with Taylor Tupou and Angus Bell because some of his tackles the one-on-one tackle on the sideline where he just launched Dylan Peach into the sideline was incredible, and Dylan Peach is no pushover. Dylan Peach is one of the hardest working wingers out there as well. So, and then speaking of belly, again, another performance leading from the front. Um, just never seems to get tackled on first contact. Like always pushing through, always finding a way to gain meters. I think a few of the debutantes did well as well. Ben Grant, Galapu, and I'm going to forget the last one's name, so I'm going to look him up. All debutants for the Waratahs played really, really well when they were on the field, particularly Ben Grant in that second row, which has been a position of weakness for Wallabies. I think he was, no pun intended, miles better than Miles Amatero when he was on the field. The lineouts were a lot cleaner as well, which is so important. So it was Life Talataina as well. Talataina was the other debutant. And yeah, Felix Kalapu, I think they were fantastic on the field. I think the Waratahs have found some real forward depth this year, which is so important. One part that was disappointing was, I have to say, Tana Tupo. Ball security, not there. I counted at least three drop balls that were on pretty standard contact, Um, couple scrum mishaps, and a couple of missed tackles as well. So definitely, we know this about Taylor too. But an up and cold player, when he's hot, he's one of the best in the world. When he's cold, it's not great. Um, hopefully as the year develops, he gets some more of that consistency, working alongside another world class prop in Angus Bell as well. Hopefully some of that translates too. Uh, and Yeah, look, I think a really great game, especially for losing captain Jake Gordon very early on in the piece. I think it's a really great performance by the Waratahs. But what we the best thing about the performance was that it wasn't their greatest performance. Is that there's still another level for them to reach this year.
Totally, yeah. I couldn't agree more with you when you said it. I think, yeah, the Tars get undefeated. This is a perfect way to start when you haven't put it all together, but I think every game have looked better, and that's the important thing. And look, you're gonna have
Yeah,
games where you don't look better, and you're gonna have games where you don't perform as well as you want, but ticking over the wins in this comp is gonna be so important. So, last game, Crusaders got a win over the Reds, looked pretty comfortable doing it as well, which is
yeah,
was a little bit of a surprise because the Reds come in quite hot. But as we said, I think you gotta take every
yeah.
game by game.
Rich knocking them off.
Yeah, you're gonna have days like that. You travel all the way to the Crusaders' home. As I've said, Crusaders are not gonna be easy to beat at home. They never
Yeah,
have been, and they've beaten us. They've beaten the Reds now pretty comfortably at home. So I kind of go, there is gonna be an
yeah,
opportunity for teams when they play them away from home, but at home it's gonna be a
yeah,
different story.
yeah. Have to, yeah. Look, have to. The fact that they have reestablished that fortress is Um, bad news for everyone. The only positive of the season so far is that the Chiefs have beaten the Crusaders, so they're undefeated. So there is a chance you know, um, for someone to finish above the Crusaders, right? That's the only positive so far this season with the Crusaders. Um, one bone I do have to pick though is with a certain Crusaders player, and that is Sevu Reece. Now I love Sevu Reece. I think he's a great player. I think he plays hard, runs hard, competes with every play, and is a freakish athlete. However, the way he clears out is like a South African player was he dived over the ruck into the knees of other players, and that is not on. That is not on. That is South African behaviour, and we do not condone it in this part of the Southern Hemisphere. All right, that is what gets players injured. That's what gets you injured, and it's illegal as well. And it should have been picked up by the referee. And it wasn't. Happened on numerous occasions. He's done it before. He'll do it again. But I'm going on record on saying I don't like it.
So Darcy Swain doing it, Shannon Frizzell getting the yellow card and the fine for it, but it's the South Africans who have the problem. Is that what you're saying? Easy?
The South Africans do it on a more regular basis, right? Darcy Swain, I don't like. Darcy Swain has been in trouble multiple times for infringement. So when you're being lumped in the same group
Category is Darcy, yeah, yeah.
as is Darcy Swain, a Darcy Swain of every year before 2025, it's not a good look. That's not the friends. That's not the company you want to be keeping. You are judged by the company you keep, right? That is a classic saying, and keeping company with that sort of business is no good. So look,
Fair enough.
yeah, and then I also have to shout out your secondary man crush, Will Jordan. Just look, absolutely
You know who he reminds me of after watching that? I was like, this is
a young Luke Bowden.
I wish. Definitely not. I was obviously far better. No, Tom Trbojevic, this is our
Yeah.
under, like, he's got a bit slightly weird running style, but is just somehow breaks tackles. And I look and I go, this reminds me very much of like if Tom
Mm,
Trbojevic played rugby. He'd just slide through and then all of a sudden he's in space and you're like, how the fuck's he done that? And why does he
yeah.
look like he's running like a weirdo? Like,
That's why I always thought of Israel Dag as well, you know?
yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He had a weird riding style as well.
Mm,
Look, the big week coming up as well. Kicks off with my Hurricanes. Who would have thought? We're into round 5, and I'm going to sit here and say, team that was hosting a semi final last year, number 2 on the table, has to win this game, or they can look at just about kiss their
the
final,
Highlanders.
just about kiss their final contention goodbye. They have to go to Dunedin, beat a Highlanders team coming off a bye, who are currently sitting third. Yeah,
A
who would have
beautiful
thought?
hot Highlanders team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not a team you'd like to take on. Tough game there. Brumbies hosted Drua. Again,
Rematch.
yeah, both teams coming off a good win as well, so will be an intense game. Crusaders host the Force. Force need to get their season back on track by at least making a statement again. They weren't bad against you guys, but to lose by 24 points, never a good
Look,
sign.
it was Ben Donaldson's worst game of the season, and they really run as he runs. Like that, and I mean, that's a sign of a good fly half as well, when you're able to control a team like that, and when you know, he needs to get back on his game, and his kicking game was so off as well. So he needs to, get onto the tee, get his kicking game back in order, start directing the Force around a bit more. They've got talent. This is not years gone by where you would have said, "Oh, Force are absolutely no chance here." You know, the Crusaders are still probably going to win, but the Force can make a contest of it. There is a chance.
Definitely. Chiefs then host the Blues, where again we're saying champions from last year probably need to win this game to really
Mm,
start to scare some of those teams with finals. And then it's the Durban to finish us off.
yeah,
The Reds versus the Waratahs. Reds host it. Look, toughest game of your season because your first away game. Surprise, surprise.
yeah.
But it'll be a barnstormer. I reckon one of the best games to watch. So make sure.
Going to be incredible. Look, the Reds came off a game where they didn't look at their best. The Waratahs the same thing, but the Waratahs managed to get a win. Yeah, a real big test of how legit this Waratahs team actually is.
100 said Six Nations. Well,
Mhm.
I called the strict.
Well,
The French handled the Irish very easily in Ireland, which is surprise to most,
yeah.
not to me because I picked it. But it has left us up, as I said, the Six Nation organisers in a very good place. It's all to play for. Husey, what do you make of the week's results?
Well, you know what we didn't discuss last week, and I should have thought of this because it would have changed my decision on who I picked for the game. Right? What we what we didn't talk about, what I didn't consider, and I saw this online, and it really blew my mind, is that this was a knockout game. If Ireland won this, they would have won the Six Nations. And we know how Ireland perform in knockout games. So of course they were going to lose. It's like we should have like I think about it now. I'm like, oh, it's so obvious. The signs were all there, were all in front of me. What really impressed me about this victory for the French, though, was they did a large chunk of it without the best player in the world, Anton Dupont. Right, and if anything, that the injury to Dupont seemed to fire the French up. I know there's a lot of discussion about performance of Angus Gardner. I think he did a good job, and his line that he pulled out, which was then backed up by the match review committee, which was injuries happen. It sucks, but they happen, or something to that effect, where sometimes injuries happen. I think is a key part of this. An injury happens to a player that happens to be your best player. It sucks, but you have to still follow the law. The outcome of an action shouldn't determine severity of punishment. It's the action itself that should determine the punishment.
Yeah.
And then, look, he ruled that it was just a penalty. French cited that action after the game. The match review committee dismissed it, saying there was no case there.
Yeah, and
And that's that.
when you look at
Mm,
that as well, where we're talking about coming into rucks and taking out knees. So it was a similar situation to that, but you can tell it's quite clear that Tug Burney has gone to clean out the ruck and has tripped or been pushed or fallen into a knee. It's not like he's ever tactically or
yeah,
planned to take out Dupont at all. I don't think he even intends to touch Dupont, and Dupont's leg just happens to be there. It's very, very much opposite of Darcy Swain or Shannon Frizzell, where it's like a
yeah.
intended clean out ends up on the knee. It's a unintended clean out ends up on the knee. So yeah, look, I thought that was the right decision. I know again the Irish are up in arms about Gardner and one of the tries that the French score, but I just sit there and I go, "You were fucking outplayed. Shut the fuck up." Like,
Yeah.
as much as it as much as I don't mind seeing the Irish humbled, I do hate seeing the French win. Like, I'm also in that boat. Like,
Yeah.
as someone, my partner asked me, "Who do we want to win?" I said, "Neither." But I also don't want England to win. So I don't
Yeah.
fucking know what I want, and I'm stuck in between a rock and a hard place. So I would preferred if Ireland had kept that close and managed to still be top of the table somehow by this point and then win it but not have the
Yeah.
Grand Slam. Now I'm just so lost about what I want going into this week. But yeah, it was one
And
of those
look,
games.
yeah, and Uh, look, there was definitely not the cleanest game by the Irish side either. I think it was Omani who just launched himself into a player on the sideline who had already kicked the ball. That was pretty dirty as well. So there's, I think, don't throw stones in glass houses on some occasions here. Uh, Look, then we have the other two games. Scotland took down Wales again. This is Wales showing some improvement. 6 points, only 6 points in it. So I believe they got a bonus point out of that, which is
Two
great for them.
bonus
It's two bonus points if
They
they.
do. They still do the four tries over in
There you go.
Northern Hemisphere.
And one of the most incredible no tries you'll ever see, where Blair Murray, because he jumped over a tackler, that's against the laws of rugby, but it set up what would have been an incredible try. Um, and But yeah, the Scottish just too classy for the world.
Can I just
Murray?
step on that try? I call bullshit. Like, I understand you can't physically jump straight over the player, very similar to what Peter Solkula did against Aaron Smith. Like, he jumped straight over the
Mm,
player. This is like a side jump to dodge a
mm,
guy who's diving at his legs. And as people made the argument, like, what about someone diving for the try line to dive over the player?
yes,
And I go,
we've
I get it.
seen numerous examples of that.
And I go, it wasn't like he hurdled a player like I know also, shit, one of the All Blacks, former All Blacks, I will remember his name, I'll look it up when you talk about England, Italy. He used to do it as well, and he was athletic ability was crazy, could jump over everything. And I go, he wasn't directly jumping over the player, like, what a shit
Yeah,
call, like, and there was a similar situation in the Moana Pacifica Hurricanes game that Kyron, I think the winger for Moana Pacifica, kinda half half jumped over a player as he's avoiding him, and I'm like, "I don't have any problem with that." It's again,
mhm,
as long as you're not putting the players in dangerous positions, well, they're not. I just didn't
yeah,
believe that decision, but yeah, I'm gonna get the name.
yeah. It reminds me of a couple of years back in the Springbok Wallabies game, right? It was either Colby or Aronson who dove for a try at the sideline, and Corabetti just cleaned him out. You know, like
Mumpipi? Yeah, it was Mumpipi, I think.
yeah, there you go, my bibby. And then Johnny May has had a couple of tries where he's jumped over. So it happens, and it's very unfortunate for the Welsh because it was a very entertaining try. Last game of the round, England versus Italy. Look, English did what they needed to do, took care of business, and one of the sexiest steps from a prop you've ever seen in your life. I find which one it was because it was just incredible. It was Angus Bell like the running. Um,
It was the Hayes fella,
uh,
was it not? I don't know, Jay Hayes.
I don't know if it was Hayes. I want to say I'm feeling like the name Smith is coming to me, but I might be wrong. I've got. Oh wait, here we go. I've got it here. It was
S
Will Stewart.
Stewart, yeah.
Will Stewart. Incredible step. Moving like Hughesy on Sunday morning touch footy. Just scintillating. Um, yeah, look, again, Italy, uh, uh, it's unfortunate for them. They've got their one win this season against Wales. This was, yeah, a tall task for them. And they're even in threat of uh, finishing bottom of the table here if the Welsh can get a bonus point this week because points differential currently favour the Welsh. The Italians don't have any bonus points. Um, they are hosting Ireland. Now, Ireland is playing for their Six Nations lives here. They're third on the table. So they have the biggest hill to climb. Um, so all three games this weekend matter. So as you said, the Six Nations organisers have got to be salivating here.
And it's a Super Saturday, which means games go back to back to back. So Ireland and Italy kick off first, then England, Wales, then France and Scotland. You
And
couldn't
the
have asked for a
thing
better
about
time.
is that it's not decided until the very last game. That's the other brilliant part about it as well, because France currently sit on top, right? All they need to do is uh, uh, is win basically because their points differential is so much higher than England. So even if England finish on the same uh, points as them with a bonus point win, doesn't matter. France clears, right? France win by a bonus point, they clear anyway. Right. So Ireland play Italy first. Now Ireland win even without a bonus point, they're at top of the table, but in a very vulnerable position because if France just simply get a bonus point, they win. So Ireland ideally need to win by a bonus point here to um, have give themselves the greatest possible chance. Then England play Wales in Wales. So this is the other great part is that all three teams in contention. Sorry, two of the three teams in contention this week play away from home, being Ireland and England. Unfortunately, the French play at home. Um, uh, So England go to Wales again. If they win, uh, they're in. They need France to lose, and even if France get a bonus point, it doesn't matter. They need France to lose. So it all comes down to the final game: France v Scotland. Now Scotland are in trickiest position in the world because they want to win. Obviously, they want to finish their season on a high. They want to finish above the English and the Irish. But there's a chance that if they beat France, England will win the Six Nations. So it is between a rock and a hard place for the Scottish here. Um, uh, I would not want to be in their shoes because you could win and still lose, which is just absolutely awful. Um, Look, more than likely though, France is going to walk away from this with a Six Nations title. Um, They will be missing their captain Pont for a number of months with an injury. Thankfully, it sounds less serious than a full-on ACL because I think they said 6 to 8 months, which significant, but not significant as a full ACL tear.
Totally. I would just want to chuck one other scenario at you. Let's say this happens. Fra Ireland lose to Italy,
Mhm.
England lose to Wales, Scotland beat France by 52 points. Guess who walks out as champion? The Scottish.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would like to happen. If I could ask for one
Yeah.
thing to happen, it's somehow the French
Didn't realize I've done like all of my maths wrong on this because I was doing 3 points for a win, not 4 points. But whatever.
it all
Most
works out.
it still applies.
Yeah.
Most
And
it still applies.
and the Scottish could end up as champions. Now they'd need about
Yeah.
7 red cards from the French, but they could theoretically do it. So again,
Yeah.
all to play for. Each game you'll know where the table stands until that final game. And I again, if the Scotland team could do anything, it's go to France and beat France. Like it's still that good of a team. They've played like shit
Yeah.
this whole Six Nations, but they'll want to win it and finish it off with a flurry. So it's all to play for. Talking about the Six Nations, Rassie Erasmus back in the news again. For all good things this time. I want to say that. Just been asked about his thoughts about the rugby calendar, was asked about the Springboks potentially moving into the Six Nations, was against it, felt like it was already a good enough compliment like the Rugby Championship. But he did have a say on the Rugby Championship moving, which I tend to agree with. And I will continue to agree with. He thinks it should be moved to the start of the year, so that it should play at Six Nations time. To me, makes a lot of sense. We have our international window from November when you have all your end of season games, and then we flow onto the Rugby Championship. There's your All Blacks schedule. You then have your midget tests, you know what I mean, down there. So it should flow on quite well that all those All Blacks go into camp, play their November overseas Northern Tour. Again, I'm saying All Blacks, Wallabies, South Springboks, Argentinians, play the Northern Tour. Then they come home, have Christmas with the fam. Then they go into a Rugby Championship, end of Jan, start of Feb. That runs for about a month. We then see Super Rugby kick off into March, so on and so forth. To me, it makes a lot of sense. That can run then all the way through until you get the mid-year tour games, which are your July games, British and Irish Lions series. Then everyone's got a big break, 2, 3 week or 2, 3 months until the end of this tour. I just think it makes a lot more sense. Imagine, waking up for me, getting a All Blacks Wallabies game to then go into a Six Nations Super Saturday, to me, sounds like the perfect rugby calendar I've ever asked. But
It's
yeah,
a very it's probably a very northern hemisphere friendly thing. I think one of the good things about Super Rugby being played when it is it's autumn, spring for, players. So it's a bit colder. Uh, when if you're playing at the start of the year, summer in Australia, New Zealand, and, South Africa, so it's baking hot, right? And I just wonder then how good of a product do we do then get? I think part of the magic and sorry, and Argentina, I should mention as well, obviously, summertime in Argentina. I should not forget our Argentinian brethren. So I think that I wouldn't object to it. I wouldn't have a problem with it. I do think it's probably better where it is, and it probably doesn't need change. And remember, I'm the guy that loves change and loves mixing things up. I don't think it needs to move. Um, why not move Six Nations? Hey, why not move the Six Nations? But no, I see the point. I wouldn't be upset if it did happen. I would say that one of the good things about Super Rugby that we saw this year is that the first 2 rounds of Super Rugby were played before any NRL and AFL was played. They had their trial run. You have a bit of market capture at the time for Super Rugby, and we saw that the television audiences increased in that time when we had a better product. So
Let's
I think
say
that's something to
go
take into consideration.
from rugby championship straight into Super Rugby. So you go,
That is
and
another potential positive as well. You've got then if you to say the Wallabies and All Blacks do well, you bring that hype into Super Rugby, but then it could be a double-edged blade. Whereas if they don't do so well, how much hype is there really then for Super Rugby? So
totally.
there's that as well. I think as well the Super Rugby season gives the the coaches a chance to assess players' performances and stuff going into the rugby championship. You have fatigued players going into Super Rugby as well. Whereas I think for the Six Nations, like URC is running as well and runs before Six Nations, so there's selection and performance reviews to happen before that time. So yeah, it, it's not the worst idea. I just don't think it's necessary. It's not there's this. It's a bit of a wash in terms of the benefits and the cons. So I just don't. I think in that case, you're better off just leaving it where it is.
Totally understand, and I like the which you made the Husey. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Again, Rassie's a man with some pull, so
Mm,
good to hear him voicing it again. That wasn't a concern. It wasn't saying this. It was just a an idea he pitched. So I love it. Look, big week for my Canes. Big week for your Waratahs. Looking to go 4-0, stay undefeated. We're looking to win our second game of the season. So didn't think I'd be saying that 5 rounds in, but here we are. But we will be back again next week to run you through it all. My name's Luke. That is Husey. We will see you next time. Goodbye.
peace.